The Circling Crossbowman is the second foot range unit of the Empire. For a long time, players thought of the Circling Crossbowman as the superior option when it came to the Empire, as it carried a similar amount of firepower to the Palatine but was far better in melee. But with patch 1.8, this view on the unit has definitely shifted, with the Palatine receiving one additional quiver and making a statement when it comes to archer shooting potential. Another thing to consider after patch 1.8 is the slight nerf to blunt damage. And for a unit that brings not one, but two templates with a mace, it is surely not good news. Anyway, this introduction is lasting too long. Let's get moving. The role of the Circling Crossman is quite simple. Point, shoot, kill, and engage in melee if necessary. As we briefly stated in the intro, the crossbowmen don't shine when it comes to shooting potential, sitting at the very modest last place among foot range units. And this is mainly due to the lack of ammunition that plagues all crossbowmen, as a sergeant will bring just 18 quarrels. It's obviously a very low amount and means that this unit won't be very good at holding position for a long period of time. The main weapon of the sergeants is the Ikori Crossbow, a fine option when it comes to the weapon class, but quite inferior when compared to the Vlandian cousins. The weapon brings a reload speed of 62, a damage of 93 and an accuracy of 99. The weapon itself is fine, but not as good as the bound crossbow. Now that we talk about the shooting side of things, it's time to cover the armor, as crossbowmen are generally hybrid units, meant to join the fray at one point or another, so having good armor is a very important aspect of the unit. As we know from the Palatine analysis, the Empire has an add-on for kettles, and the sergeants will have 3 different kettles to protect their heads. The first is the very famous round kettle over mail. The second is the also very famous round kettle over mail. Wait, is there a spelling issue here in the script? No? They really have 2 different helmets with 2 different values with the same name? Oh boy, the mystery days, tail words. And the last one is the iron round kettle over mail. So, as we can see, all of these helmets are wildly different from one another, and don't create any sort of confusion whatsoever. And when we average their values, it will sum up to 37.3, ranking the sergeants 4th among archers and 24th overall. When it comes to the body armor, the sergeants are a little less indecisive on what to wear, and they all opted for the infantry mail vest and the legionary reinforced studded harness. Together, these 2 pieces will add up to a value of 33, ranking the unit 5th among archers and 31st overall. When it comes to the L plus body, the sergeants will rank tied at 4th with value of 70, and they will gain 1 position to 3rd when considering all armor types. When engaging in melee, the sergeants will bring back their indecisiveness, with 2 out of 3 templates preferring the Imperial Light Mace, that has 91 swing speed, 60 damage and 70 length. A very nice sidearm for an hybrid unit that brings speed and decent damage while also taking prisoners in the meantime, so that Lady Ragia can always fill her dungeons up. The other weapon is the Empire favorite and definitely not cheaply and mass-produced fine steel Paramarian, that brings 84 swing speed, 72 damage and a length of 116. I'm sure you're tired of me telling you why this weapon isn't great, but here we go again. It's long and quite slow, with the high damage often not being enough to one-shot mid-tier and higher units. Another piece of equipment we have to cover is the shield. The sergeants will bring a reinforced iron brimmed kite shield, that it's not only a mouthful but also brings 290 HP with a length of 85. A solid shield but nothing amazing. With equipment and armor ranks done, let's see where this unit ranked across archers. When considering the shooting efficiency, the sergeants finished last as 7th, with 1 6th place and 3 7th places. The sergeants ended up with a KD of 4.39 and a KD of 21.37 against low tiers. The sergeants lost 70% of their units and they averaged a 61.67% casualty chance against low tiers. When considering efficiency under pressure, the sergeants finished 2nd, with 3 2nd places and 1 3rd place. The sergeants ended up with a KD of 2.56 and a KD against low tiers of 25.79. The sergeants lost 54.9% of their units and ended with an average casualty chance against low tiers of 30%. And finally, when considering the melee efficiency, the sergeants ranked 3rd, with 1 2nd place, 2 3rd places and 1 4th place. They finished with an average KD of 2.71 and a KD against low tiers of 10.8. The sergeants ended up losing 27.03% of their units and average a 9.56% casualty chance against low tiers. As we can see from the graphs, this unit is quite worse than any other archer out shooting, and quite honestly, even in melee, it's not that great, and the only shielded unit that it manages to beat statistically is the Wildling, so not very hot at all. But let's go ahead and wrap this unit up. The general armor of the unit is quite average, and not great for a unit like this one. The crossbow is fine, but not as good as the bound crossbow used by the sharpshooters. This makes it the worst crossbow unit at shooting out of the two. The 66% of receiving the mace is very good, and their melee performance is solid for an archer. But for anyone wondering if they are better or equal to the Legionaries, no, they aren't. And by far. The shooting potential of this unit is the worst in the class, and there aren't many captain perks that will help with that. They can handle under pressure, making them the best crossbow for protecting other archers, and I'll say now since I forgot to list it as a pro for the Palatine, but the Empire range line is very solid. You start as soon as tier 2 with a range unit, and that makes leveling up to the top quite a breeze. My final score is a 3 out of 5. Yes, I gave this unit half a point more than the sharpshooters, and that is for the simple reason that out of a crossman I value their melee capabilities more than their shooting ones. As if I needed a shooter, I would use an archer instead. You can swap the votes as you please. This is just my personal preference for this type of unit. At the end of the day, they are quite similar units, with one being better in melee and the other at shooting. Talking about the Empire, since it gives you two options, the Palatine is far better at shooting, and these two units aren't even close in that stat. But don't make the mistake of forgetting about the Sergeants, as the Palatine needs someone that protects them from melee, as they are the worst archer in that scenario. And I honestly quite like, from a design standpoint, that this is the way Tailwords decided to build the Empire Range 3. Anyway, let me know what you guys think, and if you are interested in more videos like this, be sure to click the playlist on your right, or on your left is the video YouTube thinks you might be interested in next. Thank you all for watching.